Welcome to Parental Alienation and Narcissism. This program is to provide awareness, educational topics that will help you heal and navigate through the hardships associated with narcissistic alienation. Please like and subscribe.
Welcome to Video 8. My name is J. Claude McDaniel, author and victim of alienation. I share my experiences, education, and provide valuable information that I hope will help you navigate through your plight. In this 8th episode, I take you from resisting the narcissist alienation campaign set against you to the long game of love and hope. Fighting smarter, not harder. The text message arrived on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. To anyone else it might have looked harmless. Just a few sentences. A few carefully chosen words. But Alex recognized it immediately. The subtle accusation. The hidden insult. The invitation to defend himself. The trap. Years earlier he would have taken the bait. He would have fired back an explanation, a defense, a correction, an argument, and before long another conflict would have erupted. But not this time. This time Alex put down the phone and walked away, because he finally understood something that had taken years to learn. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't emotional fallout from a failed marriage. This wasn't normal conflict. It was a strategy, a campaign. And if he wanted to survive it, he needed a different approach. For a long time, Alex believed that if he could just explain himself clearly enough, the conflict would end. If he could provide enough facts, enough evidence, enough logic, surely the truth would win. But narcissistic alienation doesn't operate on logic. It operates on control. And once Alex accepted that reality, everything changed. Painful as it was, he finally stopped trying to convince someone who had no interest in being convinced. He stopped treating the situation like a disagreement, and started recognizing it for what it truly was. A deliberate effort to damage his relationship with his children. Oddly enough, that realization brought freedom. Because once he stopped trying to change the narcissist, he could focus on protecting himself and preserving his relationship with his children. The first step was documentation. At first it felt excessive. But over time, Alex learned that memory alone wasn't enough. Conversations changed. Stories evolved. Events were rewritten. So he began documenting everything. Dates, times, messages, missed visits, odd comments, behavioral changes, anything that revealed a pattern. He saved emails, stored text messages, archived voicemails, not because he wanted revenge, not because he wanted to attack, but because reality matters. And when you're dealing with someone who constantly rewrites reality, documentation becomes a form of protection. The process wasn't glamorous. It wasn't emotionally satisfying. But it gave Alex something important. Clarity. Instead of reacting to isolated incidents, he could see patterns. And patterns told a much bigger story. As important as documentation was, Alex eventually discovered something even more powerful. Emotional stability. The narcissist wanted anger. They wanted outrage. They wanted him to lose control. Because every emotional reaction could later be used as evidence. Proof that he was unstable. Proof that he was difficult. Proof that their accusations were justified. The trap was simple. Provoke. Record the reaction. Use the reaction as ammunition. Once Alex saw the pattern, he stopped participating. Not because he stopped caring, but because he started understanding. He learned to pause before responding. To think before reacting. To remain calm when everything inside him wanted to fight back. That calmness became one of his greatest strengths. And over time it became something else. It became a safe harbor for his children. Because children living in high-conflict situations are often searching for one thing above all else. Safety. Predictability. Stability. Alex could not control what happened in the other household. But he could control what happened in his own. And every time he chose calm over chaos, he strengthened the foundation his children might one day return to. But emotional stability alone wasn't enough. The next challenge would be even more difficult. How do you rebuild trust with any child who has been taught to doubt you? How do you stay connected when every effort seems to be working against you? And how do you continue loving someone who appears to be pulling away? Those questions would become the focus of the next stage of Alex's journey. And the answers would change everything. The long game of love and hope. By the time Alex realized what was happening, another challenge had emerged. His child was beginning to repeat things that didn't sound like her own thoughts. Comments, accusations, assumptions, stories that seemed strangely familiar. Alex knew where they were coming from, but he also knew something else. Attacking those beliefs directly would only make things worse. Many targeted parents make the understandable mistake of trying to correct every lie, defend every accusation, challenge every falsehood. Alex wanted to do the same. But eventually he learned that winning an argument is not the same as rebuilding trust. So instead of attacking the narrative, he focused on strengthening the relationship. When painful accusations surfaced, he responded with calm reassurance. I love you. I'm here for you. You can always come to me. Simple words, but powerful ones. Because while manipulation often depends on fear and pressure, genuine relationships grow through consistency and safety. Alex stopped trying to force understanding. Instead, he planted seeds. Small truths, gentle reminders, moments of kindness, moments that could someday help his child question the story she had been told. It was the long game, and some days it felt unbearable. At the same time, Alex changed how he communicated with his former spouse. By ceasing channels of communication, there were no more emotional debates, no more defending himself against every accusation, no more endless arguments that never led anywhere. Communication had to end. Whenever possible, it stayed in writing. The fewer opportunities for drama, the fewer opportunities for manipulation. Something unexpected happened as a result. The less Alex had to react, the less power the conflict seemed to have over him. He wasn't surrendering. He was becoming stronger. For years, Alex believed he had to carry the burden alone. But alienation still thrives in isolation. The more isolated the target becomes, the more vulnerable they can become. Eventually, Alex reached out for help. He found a therapist who understood parental alienation. He connected with support groups filled with people who shared similar experiences. He consulted professionals who understood the legal and emotional realities of these situations. For the first time in years, he stopped feeling alone. And that made a tremendous difference. Because healing becomes possible when you realize others have survived the same journey. Perhaps the hardest lesson Alex learned was about hope. Not the kind of hope found in fairy tales. Not the hope that everything will magically work out tomorrow. But a quieter kind of hope. A determined hope. A hope built on action. Every birthday card mailed without receiving a reply. Every holiday message sent into silence. Every calm goodbye after a difficult visit. Every decision to choose love over bitterness. These became acts of hope. Small acts. Private acts. But meaningful ones. Alex no longer expected instant results. Or results at all. He no longer measured success by immediate outcomes. Instead, he focused on being the kind of parent his child could return to someday. Steady. Reliable. Trustworthy. Available. Because one day the questions might begin. One day the contradictions might become impossible to ignore. One day the fog might begin to lift. And if that day came, Alex wanted his child to know exactly where to find him. Not angry. Not bitter. Not waiting with a list of grievances. But standing exactly where he had always been. With love. With patience. And with open arms. That is the final thoughts of this episode. You are not fighting for today's approval. You are not fighting to win every argument. You are fighting for something much larger. The day when truth begins to break through the confusion. The day when your children begin searching for answers. And the day when they discover that despite everything, you never stopped loving them. Every boundary you hold. Every reaction you resist. Every act of kindness you offer. Every truth you quietly protect. It all matters. Because authentic love leaves a trail. And when the time comes, that trail may lead your children home. In the next episode of this story, we'll explore secret tactics used against the target and victims, and how truth has a remarkable way of resurfacing, even after years of silence. This ends part 8 of my narration. Part 9 will be speaking to secret tactics used against the target and victims. Thank you for reviewing my site and listening to part 8. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It helps this valuable site to grow and spread sound educational information. Sincere thanks, J. Claude McDaniel.